Welcome folks, my name is Tom Beatty. I'm the chair of the Web Design and Development program at Newmont College of Computer Science, and today we're going to do some JavaScript programming. Alright, this video is going to be so random, and the reason is because we're going to talk about random in JavaScript. So let me start with a variable. I will declare a variable R, and I'm going to use a for loop. If you don't know how to use a for loop, take a look at the video a couple back on for loops so that you can get up to speed on this. And so let's create an iterator of I. I will be less than 5, I plus plus. And I'm going to go ahead and make R equal to math.random, because random is actually a method of math, and so we need to do math dot and then call random. And let's just console log that. Now when we use math.random, what it actually does is it generates a number from 0 to 1. And you might be thinking, wait a minute, there are not a lot of numbers between 0 and 1. Actually, there are a bunch of numbers between 0 and 1, so long as you count decimal places. They're not whole numbers. These are what's known as floating point numbers, or floats, because they have the floating point or decimal point in them. Now, I've just generated 5 because that's what I told my for loop to do. And it's gone through, it's given me 5 random numbers between 0 and 1. And if I refresh, I get another 5. Each time I refresh, I get another 5. Now, these numbers are 0 inclusive, 1 exclusive, which means theoretically you could actually get a 0, but you'll never get 1. You can get 0.999999, but 1 is not possible to get. And that's going to be important later as we start looking at other options here. Now, I've got my floating point numbers, but I want to change these. What if I want integers? What if I want whole numbers? Well, I can make a few adjustments. One thing I can do is I could multiply this by 10. And, well, let me just run that as is. So if I multiply it by 10, you'll notice, oh, I can now get a number from 0 to 9.99999. Well, if I take that now and I do a math.floor on it, what a math.floor does is it goes and it rounds down, or gets rid of everything after the decimal point. So that'll give me a whole number. I save that, I refresh, ooh, and now I get a number from 0 to 9. Maybe what I want is a number from 1 to 10, because, you know, that's a little more common. So all I have to do is add 1 to the end. And sometimes we're getting this little number next to it. That's because it's giving me 2 7s in a row. That's Chrome's way of compacting everything. If it gets the same output twice in a row, it puts it together and tells you how many you got. Okay. So that's giving me a number from 1 to 10. If I wanted a number from 1 to 8, well, all I have to do is multiply it by 8. And that still works. Okay. So what can I do with this? Maybe you're wondering. let's have some fun. I could create a function. We'll call it random in range. And the random in range function, this is something that people commonly will write just so they don't have to continually do a bit of math just to figure out how to get a random number in a range. And usually you'll see it with a minimum and a maximum number, so that the computer will come up with a random number between and including the minimum number and maximum number you put in there. So let's go ahead and write this. All I'd need to do is I need to return, and if I start out with math.random, we know that that's going to be a random number from 0 to 1. It's going to be a decimal place. So what do we want to multiply it by? We would want to multiply it by the maximum number minus the minimum number plus 1. So let's say I were trying to create a range from 1 to 5. So the maximum would be 5, the minimum would be 1. You take 5 minus 1 plus 1, and you get 5. So you've got your right range for your math.random. If you have, maybe you want to come up with a number between 5 and 10. Well, again, that would be 10 minus 5 plus 1, which gives you 6, because that would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 6 possibilities. Okay. Then we're going to take this entire thing and we want to do a math.floor to get rid of the decimal places. And then at the end, we're going to add the minimum number. So if you're doing a number from 5 to 10, it will take whatever the result is and add 5 to it so that it starts where you want it to. And so running this should allow you to enter a minimum and a maximum and get you what you're looking for. Let's test this. I'm going to create a string. We'll call it let my numbers. So my numbers is an empty string. And now I'm going to create a for loop. For let I equal 0. I is less than, let's say, 100. We're going to come up with a bunch of numbers. I plus plus. And I'm going to add to this string and let's use backticks and say $, and in curly braces, random in range. We're going to call our new function, and we'll make it a number between, let's start out with 1 to 100. Well, 1 to 10. And I put my semicolon there. And after it finishes, remember this plus equals is concatenating. It's not adding the numbers together. It's putting them next to each other because these are strings. They're strings because we're using the backticks here and plugging in the variables. And I'm going to put in a space here too so that there's a space between each number. Now I'll console.log my numbers. Let's see what we get. And here we go. There are 100 random numbers between 1 and 10. And if I wanted to, let's say I want a number between 25 and 50, I hit save, and now it's giving me a bunch of random numbers between 25 and 50. So the random in range works. It works nicely. It's simple, easy to code. You'll find other examples of how to do that online. This is a pretty common way to do it, though. So, how can we use this to do something useful? Well, perhaps you remember when you were young playing with a magic 8-ball. Let's actually create one. And so I will say we've got to create the answers, the possible answers in the magic 8-ball, and I'm just going to make it an array. And so let my answer equal, well, make it answers since we've got a bunch of them. Definitely need a yes, a no, and a maybe, because those magic 8-balls were fairly non-committal. But you could add others like try again later, outlook not so good, outlook is pretty good. And you could add more if you wanted, but that's enough for now. And let's create a new function, check 8-ball. And we don't need any parameters. We just want it to give us a random response. We'll open up our curly braces. And we can do this one of two ways. I could use the function that I created, my random in range, or I could do it manually. Either way is fine. But ultimately, we need to return one of these answers. And so I think I'll return my answers. And inside here, I need a random number from 0 to, let's see, I've got 6 answers, so 0 to 5. And if I did it the long way, I could do math.floor, math.random times 5. And that should give me the result I'm looking for. So just console.log check 8-ball. Try again later. Hit refresh. Outlook not so good. Maybe. Try again later. No. Yes. Okay. Or another way I could do this, if I comment this out, so I could use my new random in range and instead return my answers, random in range, 1 to 5. That should give me a similar result. And it does. So that's random. There's a lot that you can do with it. It's very powerful. Play around with it. See what you can create that can take advantage of the randomness of random. Alright, if you like this video, please hit subscribe. Subscribe to my channel. I will provide more content in the future and keep it entertaining for you. Thanks a lot.